Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today we're doing something a little bit different. We're looking at one of Dapol's Kitmaster kits, specifically the Lowmac. Now, why are we doing this? Simply, I quite like building kits. They're quite good fun, and I thought I would take a stab at reviewing this Lowmac kit for one very important reason. I've already built a couple of them and I have a couple of issues. Here's one I made earlier in true Blue Peter fashion. Yes, this is the Lowmac kit. It's not painted yet, but it is fully built. Now, you might already be able to notice two of the problems I have. One, these are 3D printed couplings. These did not come with the kit. And two, these are plastic wheels. Not great, Dapol, not great. So, yeah. They don't include any tension lock couplings with this kit. And the wheels they include are metal axles with plastic wheels. That's not great, Dapol. Yeah, that's not brilliant. Which is confusing, because if you have a look at their 16-ton mineral wagon kit, that does have metal wheels, and does come with tension lock couplings. So what the hell, Dapol? Anyway, I'm fortunate that the plastic wheels do seem to work just fine. And I have a 3D printer and know how to use CAD software, so I was able to make my own couplings that still need some refinement. They don't quite hold in place tight enough yet, and the length is a bit long. Like, the gap between these wagons is insane. So, with that all said, I am now going to build the kit with some plastic glue, stop running away, and some snips. This kit is, honestly, the easiest one out of the kits I've built so far. There's very few parts, it goes together pretty well. Ignoring the fact that you don't get any couplings with it, it's quick and easy to build. So let's get started. So these mostly come in these little bags. Oh, get out of there. Right, yeah, and you get your printed instructions. Now, the most important part, make sure you got all the stuff. Dapol's return policy, unless they've changed it, I can't see anything immediately on here, but their return policy is that if you're missing any parts, to get in contact with the store you bought it from, and you have to give it them back like this. You can't give them it back like that built. So double check first. I've built a few of these now, I know what I'm looking for, so I'm just going to pull the pieces out and make sure I've got everything. So 2 side pieces, the bed of the Lowmac, 2 wheels, pop those on there. You do get water-based transfers, 2 sets of them apparently. I thought you only got one. We've got the brake handles, I think these are, 2 of. That is correct. We got 2 sets of buffer beams, 4 buffers, 2 chain link couplings, and the included horn hook couplers. You don't really see these in the UK. These are very an American coupling. I don't know why they include these, but not tension locks. Very confusing. But yeah, that is, get rid of these. And then the pins to hold them in place. Don't need those. But that there is the kit. As I say, it's very simple, very quick to put together. So, let's get building. So, start with, before we do glue, double checking for any flashing. Yeah, we've got some flashing on here. These are my Games Workshop. I'm doing my best to keep this in shot on the camera. So that's 1. Here's number 2. This one actually looks pretty good. So, these go either side. So we're going to put a thin ball of plastic glue. That's another thing, when you're building these kits, you want to use plastic glue. I'm using Games Workshop glue because I have used it quite a lot in the past for building Warhammer, one of my other hobbies. So I know how to use it and how to make it work well. So there we go. So yeah, so when you're installing these bits, this is all in the instructions, but there's just a little gap down one edge. You just put some glue on the edge of this, slot it into the gap, then hold it in place for a couple of seconds for the glue to connect, and then within a couple of minutes, you have a very secure bond between the two pieces of plastic, but not one you can't easily break if you need to make any adjustments or you've made any mistakes. That's with most plastic glues. That's nothing specific to the Games Workshop stuff. But yeah, just I've got to hold it in place for a little bit. Properly connects, and that it's all lined up edge to edge. So these edges, you want them to be flush with this edge. There we go, that should now be enough. Let's move on to step 2. Got to get the buffer beams off. Simply twist and pull and they'll come right off the sprue. Now there's still a little bit of plastic that's been left behind by the sprue there, so I'm just going to cut that off. There we go. Doesn't need to be perfectly 100% atom smooth, but you do want to get it looking as flat as you can. Then to glue these on, we turn it over. These fit on like this. So they'll be held in place like that, roughly. Yeah, these are a bit of a pain to glue on. The best way I found of doing it is to put a bead of glue down there like that. Then a little bit down these edges and pop it in place. Now there is a tiny little lip on these. Yeah, so you want to get this gap just between the buffer beam and the deck of the flatbed as small as possible. And on the back you can see there's little notches in the moulding where you can slot these into. I haven't got any of these to lay flat on my first attempt. So while that glue starts to set, I want to start prepping the other one. So bead of glue down here, down there, down there. That's a bit much that time, oh well. Can always clean it up if it spills out. Right, gotta get this right. Ooh, actually, I think that's gone on quite well. Now, see, again, there's that little gap. You've also got to make sure you don't get too much of this glue on your hands, otherwise when you touch the plastic, it will deform. So I'm just gonna put a thin line of glue along here. I'm gonna do the same along here. First thing this does is loosen up any glue that starts to set, and second of all, gives us more glue to hold it in place as we sort of bend the plastic into the shape we want. So that side's a lot better. This side has gone way out of whack. There we go. That will do for now. Whew. Anyway, that's the buffer beams installed. Next step, buffers. Here we go. These are tiny little things. Just gotta cut this little bit off here. Again, sharper snips are better for this, but these are all I have to hand. Ooh. Put that over there. Then the buffers can just twist off the sprues. Right. Now with these, there's a little nubby bit on the end if I get this up to the camera. Little nubby bit. You need that little nubby bit. And I've just dropped one. Oh, it's over here. So I can get closer. Before we do that, we need to clean up the ends of these buffers again, just by scraping off any flashing or residual plastic from the sprue. Shouldn't take 2 seconds, you just need something sharp, so be careful and never cut towards yourself, unlike what I'm doing here. Right, now these buffer beams, the glue will not be set yet, so we're just going to put a little bit of glue on these. Then there's tiny little holes underneath these little covers, I guess. And the little nubby bit that was on the end of the buffer beams, just want to push that into place, and then once it's in, just manipulate it so the buffer is nice and straight. and then you have to do that 4 times. Something to watch out for if you're building a different kit is some kits have the buffers keyed, so they go in a particular way round. It's worth keeping that in mind when you're trying to put them in. If you put them in the wrong way round, they will go in, but the buffers will be slightly angled if they've got metal supports on the back. And when I say metal supports, I mean the prototype. Obviously these aren't metal, these are all polystyrene plastic. Okay, just some last bits of adjustment before any of them set. There we go. And that's the buffers installed. There is only 4 pieces left now. That is the chain link couplings. So just twist these off the sprue. Done. And these brake levers, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, brake lever. Right, I'm going to do the chain link couplings first because we need to make an adjustment. For me to fit the 3D printed couplings on I'm using, I have to cut off the bottom 2 chains because these hang down and actually interfere with the couplings. Well, at least NEM couplings at the correct NEM height. So you do have to cut those off. You can keep 1 chain on it or 1 link, but that's it. I couldn't figure out another way to install them. Then there's a little rectangular hole in the center of the buffer beam, bit of glue, just gently push it in. I say gently, these are tough. I've bent that a little bit, gotta be careful of that. See, now I have got a little bit of a gap here. What I can do is, after the glue is set, I can put a little bit of extra glue on there to sort of bridge the gap, and then when I paint over it, it will be smooth. It's normally what I do when I get little gaps like that. And if there's too much of a bump, you can take just a little bit of sandpaper or a file to it. Polystyrene plastic is incredibly soft, so you can just sort of sand it away. 2 of those installed. Finally, it's the brake levers. Right, so there should be 2 holes. There is. When you're holding it with the little nubby bit in your hand, you should have this piece, 1 little notch here, and the notch that drops down should be here. Then holding it like this, you should be able to see that the one end slots into here, a la so. The other end goes up and slots into... Have I got this wrong way around? Do I have this wrong way around? I don't think I have this the wrong way around. It doesn't seem to want to. And that one should go in that hole. Haha! Okay. Right, it looks like the tolerances are just a bit too tight. So I'm going to put a bit of glue on that one, a bit of glue on that one. Because of how plastic glue works, it actually should, in a weird way, lubricate it a little bit to make it easier to slot in, because it will melt some of the plastic. There we go. Does that look right? That's right. That's 1 down. Now, don't push this little post all the way in here through this hole, because if you do, it will bend it a little bit. You just want to poke it through just enough for the glue to... God damn, this one's come out. Yeah, you just want to push it through just enough for the glue to make contact so it can set. Now let's do the other one. Also, you do need to cut these little knobbly bits off. I'm not doing that yet. I will do it after they're in because it makes it easier to handle these. Just need to cut some of the extra flashing off. Right, dab of glue on. Oh god, that's not quite enough. Oh, that's way too much. So I'm just going to wipe some of that off with the instructions. It's one way to do it. And then just going to repeat the same process. Push the smaller nub into the further away hole and the longer nub into the one closest to the end. There we go, that's 1 nubby in. Is that 2 nubbies in? Don't know if it's in the hole, but it's in place. And there we go. That is actually it done. Now, if you want to go with the Buckeye couplings, which are these little buggers, you simply, if I turn this over, put it over that hole, and this little peg, you just push it in like that, and it pivots around that. Super simple to do, but I don't use Buckeye couplings on my layout. So, I have to 3D print some. Now, when the glue is set, I'm going to use this one for demonstrations. You simply just pull the side, and oh god, let me just pull my couplings out. There we go. You simply just pull the side a little bit, and the wheels pop out. Or, if you hold onto the wheels, they pop in. And they run very freely. But yeah, that is the Dapol Lowmac kit. It's a super simple kit, it can be done in a few minutes, and it is, other than the fact you don't get any couplings, Dapol, it is a super simple kit to begin with. Now, I am going to go 3D print some more couplings, wait for the glue to dry, put the wheels in, and then we'll do a running session with these on my layout. I'm not going to paint these today, for the fact is, I don't have the paint that I need, because I've got some rail match grey coming, and I don't have, it's not arrived yet. So, maybe in a different video, I'll go over how I paint them. But for today, we're just going to have the polystyrene plastic grey. And I do have 2 here, and I do have a 3rd one that's already built upstairs. So, let's run some trains. So here we are on the tracks, with not just 1 or 2, but 3 of these Lowmac kits. All built, all assembled, and all using 3D printed couplings, into 3D printed NEM pockets, into 3D printed NEM dovetail mounts. Whew! That is a big mouthful, but we're here, they're on the track, and they run fairly smoothly. Some of them are a little bit wobbly, but First things first is I would normally do a coupling test on these wagons. But these are my couplings designed on my 3D printer using my 3D print setting, so it's always going to be different. So let's just see if they're even at the right height. This is by no means, by no way definitive, but let's just see if it can couple. I think that's a yeah. I have to say I'm very impressed. I've done no testing beforehand, so I didn't know if that was going to work. Let's bring them back and see if they've stayed coupled after a little bit of running. They have, as you can see, this one is a little bit wobbly if I just run it again. Yeah, it's a little bit wobbly. And that's not this loco I'm using, this wagon is wobbly. But other than that, let's send it around the layout and see what happens. So I'm going to send it and then we're going to go free cam. Right, so here we go. Oh, just behind those coaches. If you can hear that, they're a touch rattly. This is because these wagons are very light. There's next to no weight in them. But they could, we've kind of come uncoupled. So we're back running again. Yes, these locos, they're very light, so they have a tendency to bounce, decouple, derail. They really need a bit of added weight, because these are made from polystyrene plastic, I believe, which is an incredibly light and, well, durable plastic, which is great for building kits, not so great for building anything weighty or hefty. So let's see if it uncouples here again. No. Still coming round. No uncoupling, no derailing. Good, 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 good. That's what I like to see. These wagons, as you can see, have a massive gap between them. Very unprototypical. Not much I can do about that. My current design just has a bit of distance between them. Again, if you were to build these kits, it depends which couplings you use and which mounts you use and everything. So many variables, so I'm not really going to comment on how good or bad it is, because yours will be different than mine. Because I said mine is homegrown. It's a homegrown design. But one thing I do have to say, they do look good going around in a small rake. I do like these. If I can find a way to fix the weight issue, by which I mean add more weight to these, I might end up getting some more, because they do look good. They do look very good. Right, let's bring them back round to the front. And one of them's actually derailed on the way back round. There you go. Yeah, these are just really difficult to keep on the rails. So, final thoughts. Again, this video is very long, so I'm just going to wrap it up here. The kit is actually great. It's very simple, very quick to put together. And that's sort of where... oh no, and they're not very expensive. So it's quick, it's simple, and it's not very expensive. That's where the good ends. The negatives: there's no NEM couplings, they're way too light to stay on the tracks, the plastic wheels make it wobble side to side, and I have to say, this particular Dapol Kitmaster kit, I can't recommend it. I just can't. Based on the hassle I've had with it, and just how much of a pain in the ass they are to keep on the track, it's like a 3 or 4 out of 10. Now, if you're really willing to put the work in, and if you really enjoy building kits, for £9 at the TMC, this could be a great deal. But if you're someone who just wants a Lowmac to run, buy the Ellis Clark or the Rapido ones. They're a lot more money, but they're not going to give you anywhere near as much hassle as these are. You're not going to need to put in all the extra work that I've had to put in to get these just running, and then all the work I'm going to have to put in to get them running good. But anyway, that's my final review. I'm going to give these a 4.5 out of 10. Yeah, these ones aren't great, which is a shame because I've had the Dapol Kitmaster 16-ton mineral wagon. I've only got one of those, so I'm not going to review it yet. But overall, that's really good. That's a really good wagon. These Lowmac ones, they need updating and they need included NEM tension locks. Anyway, I want to thank you all so much for watching. This has been a bit of a different video, but I hope you did enjoy. If you want to see me review more of these Dapol Kitmaster kits, I actually really love building kits. I love them. In fact, I've got a different kit I've built here, which will eventually go on my Lowmacs. Maybe. I don't know. It's kind of fun. I'm not sure if the Lowmacs actually carry tanks, but yeah, it's fun. I like it. So yeah, if you want to see more of this, or if you want to see something completely different, or you have any other feedback for me, let me know down in the comments. Let's have a discussion. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.